My name is Matt Harris. For the past 16 years, I've been a chiropractor in Tennessee. I've gotten to experience how it's changed the lives of thousands of people. Chiropractic care is not about what's wrong with you. It's about what's right with you. Instead of focusing on what's wrong with your body and tearing it down, how do we focus on what's right with your body and build it up? One of the biggest challenges I see with headache sufferers is they think that headaches are normal, because oftentimes what happens is headaches become normal for us. And I can say this as a former migraine sufferer myself. I thought I had normal headaches. I thought it was just kind of my lot in life. The first thing that we want to appreciate about headaches is appreciate what headaches are not. And headaches are not the problem, they're the result of the problem. Let's say if someone has a brain tumor that's causing a headache. Is the headache the problem? Or is the brain tumor the problem? That principle doesn't just apply to brain tumors. Headaches are an example of how your body's responding when it's being pushed beyond what it can handle effectively, physically, chemically, and emotionally. Your nerve system stores everything. And when that nerve system is compromised, it responds in one of two ways. You either have an increase in activity or a hyperactivity, which we often recognize as a muscle spasm, or you have a decrease in activity or a hypoactivity, and we recognize that as a muscle weakness. That's when people say things to me like, Matt, I'm having trouble gripping a doorknob, or when I'm walking, my toe drags. What we don't appreciate is how that can affect our physiology the same way. That's what a headache is. A headache is a hyperactive response, just like a muscle spasm. It's when the blood vessels in the brain are going into spasm. That's what an allergy is. It's not the stuff in the air. It's how your body responds to the stuff in the air. That's why, Justin, myself, and Raina, we may walk into a flower shop. It may make my eyes water. It may not bother Justin at all. And Raina may go into a full-blown migraine, because it's how she responds to that environment. It's what an anxiety or a panic attack is. It's a hyperactive response. So as we start to understand how most of these problems work, then we can start to say, okay, what's causing that to begin with, and how can I work to help better support my body so it can better manage it? So if headaches are the result of the problem, and this thing called life, the stresses of trauma, are the cause of the problem, let's imagine headaches being similar to what happens to a tea kettle. If you have a tea kettle on your stove and you turn up that temperature and it gets hot, that's what life does to us. Those stresses build and build and build, and our bodies start to get, for lack of a better word, hot. Well, once that water reaches a boiling point, that tea kettle is going to scream. That's similar to what happens to our body. Once it reaches that boiling point, that headache is your body screaming at you that it's got more on it than it can handle. So as a chiropractor, what we're working at, number one, is how do we turn that temperature down, okay? How do we help dissipate stress from that system? And then how do we work to better support the body so that it doesn't reach that screaming point, or it doesn't live in this realm where every little thing pushes it over the top, so now it starts screaming at you. And so now let's look at kind of how that can show up in the body. All right, so just like we discussed, if someone has a brain tumor that's causing a headache, the headache's not the problem, the brain tumor is the problem. Well, there are other issues that can be the problem that can result in headaches. As we discussed, as your body's being pushed beyond what it's managing effectively, things can start to get out of balance. And one of the most common areas that happens is in the upper neck, right around your C1 and C2. And this is because this is the most freely movable part of your whole spine. This is where most of your motion in the neck comes from. And it's also so important because this is where your brainstem is. Located in that brainstem is something called your vasomotor center, which is responsible for how your blood vessels expand and contract. That's what a headache is. When those blood vessels in the brain are going into a spastic response, just like you feel these muscles in your neck or upper back tighten up or have a more spastic response. So that's why as a chiropractor, oftentimes we're looking at that upper neck area, not because we're trying to treat headaches or we have a headache adjustment, but compromise in this area oftentimes may present itself as headaches. It's that tipping point. So that's why we focus here. Sometimes people may be adjusted manually by the chiropractor with their hands. As soon as I just did that right there, Justin, you felt that C2 just shift right into place because it was compromised. It wasn't moving well. Okay, and then his C1 on that right side generally wants to shift. Now that's a manual type of adjustment. There are also other ways that we can address this. Sometimes people prefer not to be adjusted manually. Other people only want to be adjusted by hand. So that's why the great thing about chiropractic is there are a lot of different techniques that can work to help accomplish the same thing. Another way that we can help correct these problems in the upper neck or anywhere in the spine really is the use of an instrument. Okay. Now what the instrument does, it does the same thing as whenever I'm adjusting someone with my hands, but it puts an impulse in really fast before the muscles and tissue can tighten up. So anytime you use speed, you don't have to use as much force. So if I want to adjust Justin's C1 right here in that upper neck area, I can make my contact on that vertebra and use my instrument and put that impulse in really quickly to help introduce motion into those segments. This is going to help dissipate stress from the system, and it's going to help get things moving better again. Another option to help deal with these issues is the use of a table that drops. Just like with the instrument, it adds speed to that adjustment and that correction. Same thing we're doing here. The table is going to drop and help absorb the force, the energy necessary to get these areas, to help these areas to function better and move better instead of Justin's body having to adjust it. So these are called upper cervical techniques. So when I adjust someone with this technique, it's called a toggle recoil. I'm going to apply a pressure right here on Justin's top vertebra on that C1. Good. And then we're going to set that motion into place. Also, there are other upper cervical techniques that are very light, very gentle, and the table doesn't move. And again, what we're working to do is help restore the health of that relationship of the mechanics in that upper neck between the top vertebra and the skull, reducing pressure and stress on that nerve system and helping his body to function better. Open that for me. But see, another thing up here in the upper neck area, those facial nerves come off that brainstem too, and they go up into the jaw. And just like you feel that tension and pressure up here, that a lot of jaw issues, TMJ, clenching your teeth, grinding your teeth, will come from there. Because just like these muscles tighten up, these master muscles tighten up and respond the same way. Okay? So it doesn't matter if we're talking about a headache or that tension, that clenching of your teeth right there, they're all manifestations of the same thing, your body trying to adapt to what's being required of it. So while as a young kid I thought it was normal to be able to pour BC powders on my tongue or take injections because my headaches were normal for me, it was after chiropractic changed my life that I realized the chiropractor didn't fix me. I thought he fixed me because my headaches were better. He didn't. He just helped to get my body in a healthier state so it could better manage what was being required of it. With time, what I learned was I was the problem, not the headaches. I stayed so worked up about my school and about my basketball career. I was constantly pushing myself. I did not allow myself the rest that I needed to restore my body. And my nutrition was terrible. I just didn't know any better. I mean, a great example, when I was playing basketball at Murray State, my bedtime snack, this was not my dinner, this was my bedtime snack. Almost every night I would eat a large pizza from Papa John's with 2 garlic butters. I'd pour one on and dip the other one. I just didn't realize what I was doing to myself. That was my lifestyle. That wasn't a treat. I was constantly pushing myself. And that was my body's way of shutting me down and saying, I can't handle anymore. If you don't stop, I'm going to stop you. So as we appreciate that headaches aren't the problem, they're the result of the problem, then now we can work effectively to help our body better manage what's being required of it and work to reduce and eliminate the things in our life that we can control so our body can better manage the things that we can't control. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, and follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all the social media platforms, as we hope to provide you with great information.